I know, I have. I have one more.
How do you guys feel about the mask situation? Mask option.
Whatever you want to do, whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, whatever you guys.
I feel like I've been a masked dog if I have to wear it all day, you know?
We didn't get to the Kona shame.
Yeah,
The muzzle.
How you doing?
No, that's our
Sandra's not online, is she? Nor Nancy. Okay. And I'm here partially.
You're here, what do you
You can see our nameplates, I hope, so you know who we are. I'm president of the board, John Davey, Christine is a director, and Dave is a director. And our other people are out and about. And the only rule we have going today is absolutely positively 4:30 we end.
Perfect.
So
Sounds good.
the floor is yours.
Where's ours? All right, well, my name is Sean Kemper. I'm the president of First Service Residential. I just want to, on behalf of First Service, thank all of the board and the community for having us here today. I'm so excited to be here today. About 2 years ago, just shy of 2 years ago, First Service took over, partnered with this community and with the board then. And over those past 2 years, had a lot of accomplishments, a lot of things that we've done, had a lot of growth, really enjoyed our time here with board members, the residents, getting to know the community better, figuring out how we could make a difference in the community. And so again, we're really, really excited to have been partnering with your community and to continue to do that as well. Also, as we go through these times, we obviously, we're not perfect. We make mistakes, and we have to own up to those, and you'll see in a minute. Our core values talks a lot about owning up to those mistakes. And one thing that I always preach is that, hey, we're going to make a mistake, let's own it, let's live up to it, and then let's make sure we don't make that same mistake again, right? So learning from our mistakes, growing and continuing to get better each and every day for you and for this community and for ourselves, frankly. So again, just excited to be here. We have a lot to cover today. Figured since the last time we went through this, I think other than Tom, none of you were on the board or in the audience at the time. So we want to give you you were here? Okay, that's right, you were.
They just let me talk to you.
They let you talk.
Oh.
Oh, well, for the sucker. Okay, yeah.
I remember that.
So we want to give you the full depth and breadth of First Service. We want to give you all that we have here today. So you're going to see a lot of things that maybe you didn't see last time. So we'll make sure we go through that. So I want to turn it over to Paul and let him kind of get us kicked off here.
Thank you, John. So my name is Paul Schwartz. I'm the business development director. I've been in the HOA industry going on 22 years. I actually asked if I could be here today because I was involved when we first received the partnership and partnered with Sunflower. So it's kind of near and dear to my heart. And we work as a team. So we're all here to kind of help each other. We want to make sure that we keep our partnership with you solidified because we're just getting started. It really hasn't been 2 years yet. So we really want to solidify that partnership. Again, as John mentioned, because there's new people on the board and possibly some new people in the audience at home, we do want to go over some things that basically may be familiar with, but as a board member, so if you are, just bear with us, but we think that all the information is going to be provided today. Does that sound good? Cool. Excellent. All right. So first and foremost, something we're very, very proud of is our ranking Arizona status. So we are going on this year, the 15th year in a row that we have been nominated and voted by peers in the public as the top management company in Arizona. Again, going on 15 years, something we're very proud of. Unfortunately, it's not something we buy, it's something we need to vote on. So our peers, people in the community members, things of that sort are voting on it. So we're very, very proud of this 15 years ago. And we bring this up, obviously, we're proud of it, but also so you know that we are with the top ranked management company. in Arizona. So experience counts. That's how we got to our 15 years of ranking. We have 300 national community partners nationwide. So 300 communities, same size and some of the same breadth and some of the same amenities that Sunflower has. We've got 22 master plan partners here in Arizona, some of which are here in Tucson as well, large scale, and a little over 325 associates to help service all of our Arizona properties, specifically our Arizona properties. So all of the financials that are being done are done here by our staff in Tucson. All of our leadership team, except for John, are here in Tucson and our Tucson office. We are not servicing you from our Gilbert Chandler office or from our Scottsdale office. We're being serviced from our Tucson office with support from some of the folks in our Scottsdale office. So one thing that John mentioned we really want to focus on is our differentiators. What sets FirstService Residential apart from the companies that you're talking with and all the other companies in Arizona? There are about 320 property registered HVAC infant companies in the state of Arizona. Shocking, right? Oh, yeah. Let's face it, everyone thinks they can do it. So we want to focus on people, culture, and resources. So John is going to talk about culture here in a minute, and then each of us is going to kind of chime in through our presentation about the resources, which is then going to be reflective of the type of people that we have at FirstService Residential.
All right, so core values. You guys can see here there's FirstService, we have 6 core values and 15 global service standards. These are our core values. And these are the things that we want to make sure that we're doing every single day in the communities that we manage, right? To be genuinely helpful, owning it, doing what's right, building great relationships, improving it, and aiming high, right? We look at this, we take our core values, we combine those with our global service standards and our mission statement, which is to deliver exceptional service and solutions that enhance the value of every property and the lifestyle of every resident in the communities we manage, right? So that little placard is on every person's desk at FirstService. So when they come in the morning, sit down at their desk, start their day, that is a little reminder of what we're here for, what we're here to provide for, right? Now these core values, love these. We go through an activity in every office, every site of community around North America, including Canada, when we talk about our core values. We talk about our global service standards, and we do that through a fun little time we call First Call. So First Call is a 10-minute activity that we do in the morning. We get our teams together. We talk about a specific core value. It's a time for us to talk about what's going on for the day, what our teams are experiencing. It's a time to celebrate birthdays, celebrate work anniversaries, provide recognition, shout outs to our team, and those types of things. And again, every single day, we're doing something that talks about our core values and our global service standards, like reading, have an authentic reading, returning phone calls within 24 hours, those types of things. Every single day, we're talking about our core values. It's not just something that's in a manual that you hand out to your associates and they go online and get to. It's something that we literally talk about every day. It's on our walls in our offices, on our desks in our offices, and we take it seriously. And we like to make it fun and interactive. The other part is one of the, with this slide here is a 360-degree of support slide. We made this slide probably 7, 8, 10 years ago, and I love this slide because what it does is it puts the community in the center of the universe. And you'll see those items in green, those boxes in green. Those are your sited communities. Those are the folks that are here on site that are taking care of the residents in your communities. Right? You have your community manager, Kathy, you have your assistant manager, you have your front desk people. Then also you have the CPA folks that are in charge of our operations and doing the things that help make this community go every single day. That group is supported by a lot of other folks within Arizona. You'll see those folks in the blue boxes. So we have a HR person, HR director, Lori. We have a corporate trainer who provides training for associates, full-time recruiter. So if we need to fill a job, we have a full-time recruiter on site that does that. We also have a full-time IT staff of 3 people that will take care of any technology needs that you might have or anything that is keeping our associates from doing the job that they're here for. Then we also have our accounting and finance and resale and disclosure team. Dan Martino, who's our controller. You guys have your own accountant here in Tucson. And then those teams are supported by a regional group of folks around the region. So we have a regional vice president of HR. We have a regional IT team. We have specialized services that, whether it be compliance, risk, legal, those types of things, that support the market, that support your team. So I love this slide because it really kind of exemplifies the amount of support that your community gets from FirstService, not only locally, but on a regional and national level. So really excited about that.
So in addition to that, the reason why we bring this up on not only the local factors, but also the regional and national factors is particularly for a 55-year-old community, particularly in Tucson, management company, in our opinion, in our experience, really has to be in tune, not only locally, but regionally as well. We've noticed over the past few years, there's a lot of people that are relocating from California, people, right, relocating from Nevada, Canada, all those things. So if we as a management company are not keeping focus on what's going on regionally, competitively, from a real estate standpoint, from an amenity standpoint, from a club standpoint, things of that sort, then we may fall behind some of the other communities that people may want to relocate. So what John brings up is national and regional resources for California and Nevada. That's a lot of our focus as well. It's not only the back office support, but we want to bring best practices, not only that we have here in Arizona, but we want to bring those best practices from some of the great communities in Nevada and some of the great 55-year-old communities in California as well, to make sure that Sunflower is remaining competitive and staying competitive above the market if at all possible.
Okay, if I can interrupt you. When does that get communicated to?
What's that?
You're tracking markets, you're tracking amenities and competing communities, and people, demographic shifts and all that. When does that get communicated to the people in this room so that we can act on it? Because I've heard, I've only been back on the board for 5 months. Yeah. And it's been a difficult time for obvious reasons. But I love the concept. I just have not heard any of that. Here's what you should be doing. You all should be building 2 pickleball courts instead of just 1, or you should be doing, getting rid of bocce and putting in shuffleboard, or vice versa, whatever. I haven't heard any of that. So I don't know how the communication process.
Yeah, as much as I hate to use COVID as a fallback,
Right.
That's been the focus really for the last 6-7 months. However, prior to that is when we started formulating these task forces of the regional folks. So we now have task forces in place where the Cathys of the world and even the Kims and the Susan of the world are networking with their peers, and then it's up to them to disseminate that information. So now that I would like to think that things are under control as much as they can be.
Be careful.
Right, exactly.
Not really, but
Say it, but not say it, but here's the thing. The truth is I think that we've got a decent handle on COVID protocols and procedures and things like that. We have to be extremely mindful of it. However, we have to be aware that business has to go on. Okay, we have to be aware that homes are still going to be sold, and people are still going to be looking at things and things of that sort. So now that all our protocols are in place, we've done our white papers, things of that sort. But I would say pretty much now in the next 60 days is when there's going to be dissemination of that team effort and that networking effort.
So, not to interrupt, your protocols that you developed for COVID, when you showed up, I mean, specific down to us. I mean, I think we're one of your only communities that for a while that kind of led the charge for reopening. I understood what I've been told some of the other meetings, that we wanted to open earlier than 10 months. Yeah. We developed our own procedures and our own policies, and we wrote them. We actually developed software to do reservations for our system because your system didn't have it. And we as a group, and Tom took the lead on all that, had to do that. So it would be nice to see what you developed so that we can see how we actually prepare for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. We have protocols, we have stuff that's been written, and we have 200 documents that we wrote for our associates, for our communities, for all that kind of stuff. So it's, you know, it's a little disappointing to hear that you guys haven't seen anything.
Have you?
Information.
I'm just vice president.
No, I mean, it's not meant to be a bitch session. No, but we had a situation where we were trying to be aggressive on reopening. It was important to, because I think there's a mental health issue here that everybody ignores. And John got put in charge of reservation. And he talked to Kathy and was told
Reservations for.
to use the pool, to use the gym.
So reserving amenities.
Yeah, and he was told that you all had something in place that would do it. So we rolled along, 3 days before the board meeting to reopen, we're told we don't have it.
Yours didn't work, but it makes sense because it wasn't designed for what we were looking to do.
But that meant John had to go find something.
And Kathy found the software and was challenged to make it work. But I mean, you guys have IT specialists. That's kind of your background. You got IT people on the chart, so seemingly you guys would have.
Yeah, and we
jumped in.
Yeah, we were working on something. We did come up with something that we wanted to interact with that. Right, so it's trying to make sense to make those things work, yeah.
But those things make sense, but even if it's like, okay, Sunflower, we're working on it, you're way ahead of the curve, if you want this put up for earlier, a higher level, there's gonna be a small fee for you to do it, but worth the fee, so then it is connected. I mean, it's just, that's why I'm kind of curious as to all these papers you developed. I mean, I'm reading Governor Ducey's stuff going, okay, does this apply? We're talking to our attorneys going, how does this work? When it sounds like you've already done.
Well, we've done stuff. We have to be
Right,
very, very careful.
Right,
From
and then
from a
you've
legal
got a mob.
standpoint.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A mob. We
Mob.
shouldn't be.
We have to wait until we follow the CDC guidelines,
Right.
right? And so once the CDC comes out, something we say, okay, then we have to develop
Right.
some protocols and whatnot based on what the CDC's recommendations are. And then in the beginning, those were changing daily, weekly.
It's still chicken.
And it's crazy to try to keep up with all this.
Right.
Yeah, I get it.
But what I'm saying is you already have people doing that, so our resources locally should be not as involved now. I mean, I guess that's my question is, you have them on a lot of these protocols already developed, like how often clean meeting room, how often clean the tech center, how often to do that. Where we were in the past, well, common sense says if you used it, we cleaned it. I mean.
Yeah, those are really tough, right? Because we don't want to write a recommendation and then come back from a legal standpoint and go, well, 10 people just got COVID and you recommended that we clean this building twice a day, but you should be cleaning it 5 times a day. That now is a legal responsibility that we're gonna have to tackle, right? And we're trying to stay away from getting sued.
Right.
So it's this tough balancing act, right? It's not anything we've ever been through before. So for us to come to you guys and go, hey, we would recommend that you clean this facility twice. That may be against the CDC protocols. We don't know. We're trying to keep ourselves out of a legal mess, right? So it's difficult for us to make a recommendation from legal because 2 or 3 people get COVID and now, hey, wait a minute, they only recommended we clean this place twice, but you should clean it 5 times. I'm going to sue you because I got COVID. That's how it works.
Send that back stuff, that way you're helping on COVID. Yeah. I mean, no offense, if you spend a lot of time, it's protocol, you go, but if I give it to you, I don't want to give it to you, so.
No, because everything you do, you say recommended.
Right, I understand that, so it'd be nice to see a recommendation.
Yes.
Well, here's what you should have done, at a bare minimum. You should have gotten our dissemination of CDC information protocols when it comes to homeowner associations, condominium associations. What you should have gotten was a little bit of guidance on what to do if someone in your community has a reported case of COVID, someone on the staff has a reported case of COVID, things of that sort. What sounds to me, unfortunately, Mr. Hassel, that
These emails went out, but a lot of that went out in March when this all started. A lot of the.
We got a 32-page document. That's all we have. Okay. Anyway, it's a very generic document. And I don't want to beat it to death, because you all got a presentation.
Well, no, that's what that's it. It's kind of like the information is there, we just need to find a way to access it.
Right.
And it sounds like maybe it could have preceded you, but even if it did with a new board coming in, then it should have been refreshed to the new board.
So we should, I mean, basically, it's not a communication access. It's there, it's not guidance, it's a recommendation, or this is our interpretation. You need to decide on your own, but at least you're not sitting there going, okay, take your temperature. I mean, that kind of thing.
So we'll make sure, regardless, we'll make sure that we follow up after this, and we'll give you access to the code library, and you can see exactly what we're talking
It's in
about.
there, yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so as far as technology
Yay.
of IT, so I know that you guys use your third-party site. I know when we first came on, we talked about our robust technology, having a website, hosting, and things of that sort. That was something at the time, board didn't want to do, or a few board members didn't want to do what have you. They were comfortable with the site. So what we want to do again, because some of them are new, and our technology obviously is continuously changing. Susan's going to walk through some of the capabilities. We're not saying you should switch from your third-party site, but it is a little more robust. It is a little more up-to-date, if you will. And it may or may not have some of the additional functions that you're trying to be so polite. I'm trying. Susan, go.
Okay, so what I'm going to talk about today is Connect. We've done this a little bit with all of you, but what Connect is it is the software that we use both in our office. Our associates will use Connect to track community information, do calendars, violations, architectural modifications, resident inquiries, and all sorts of other things going on in the community. It also has functionality for your residents and then for your board members to be able to see what's going on within Sunflower. And so we really like this software because it has daily integration into our accounting system. It links with some of our other ancillary software that we have. But Connect is basically the heart of the software and the association management software that we use for service.
And I do want to preface this, I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is set up for you already. This is existing. Right. Whether people go there or not is a whole other
I
discussion.
think all the board's been there. I don't know about
Well, that's how I learned about it.
And so we had talked about doing some training for the residents as well. With COVID, that's a little bit of a challenge. We had hoped to be able to do some of that in person, and obviously what we are developing now is some little snippets of information that we can send out in or email blast. Did you know you can?
So, Connect, I mean, that's looking as though that would be our main website. Is that what you're?
It can be, yeah.
It can be. Okay. So I just want to put it, it's like.
It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be a link from our website. It can actually be the host of our website.
This will be your, actually, this is your
It is your
website.
website.
Just a matter of where people go. I think right now on your current site, if people want to make payment on your site, it links.
Right, that's what I said, right now,
Yeah.
it links over to it.
Right.
And so it, in essence, could be the backbone of the website,
Yeah.
but the other board chose not.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood.
This resident portal as well has the link to your old website for people that are more.
And we don't charge you for this either.
Right, no, I just wanted to make sure, because I wasn't sure if it was, it's coming from our website, or, so, yeah, right.
Okay. So this is a landing page, basically talks about who we are as First Service, a little bit about the community. When the residents log into this system, they are able to access their information. They're able to make payments, see their account balances, look at any inquiries that they've made. If they call the customer care center or call the office here or call the office on La Jolla, they'll see a lot of that communication that they called, asked about such and such, and the result of that, so that they can go in and say, I wonder what's going on with, the question I had about the tree by the bocce courts. So this is where they land, gives a little bit about First Service, and then the residents can go in and do all sorts of things. And as I mentioned, we want to train them how to use this. In a lot of cases, they can help themselves. And so we want to be able to provide that to the residents in little bits and pieces. We found that trying to train them on all of the functionality and connect people, we lose them for a little while. So what we're developing is little snippets that can go go out, did you know you can? And then give them the screenshots walking through. So this talks about Sunflower and the amenities that are available here. You guys have an amazing facility with lots of amenities, and so it talks about all of the amenities that are here. So this is the resident access, and this is where you log in. This is where you can communicate with your management team. This is where you go to find forms and documents. So all of the things that are relevant to Sunflower are loaded to this website. This is resident specific only. Every resident has their own login that they would use. And they can register and create an account using the address and phone number and their name that they have on file in our system, and it will verify that the information that they're trying to enter matches the information that we have in our database, so that you can't have someone from outside the community go in and try to log in to the resident side of the website. So this is available 24/7. There's also an app that I'll talk about a little bit, but this is the homeowner homepage. And so these are just some of the things that they'll see. Obviously, I don't have an account here, so my balance view is coming up as not applicable, but you can actually make payments through your account activity so they can see their ledger, make sure that their payment has been posted, make sure that everything's looking the way that they expect it to. There's a link right here where they can actually make a payment. That takes them to the QuickPay system where they can make a payment online. You can do that. Some of the forms and documents are here highlighted. There are other forms and documents, and so we can customize this so that what shows up on the short list are the most important forms. And so we've gone through and looked at what people want the most when they call. And where do I find a minute? Where do I find an ARC form? Where do I find a complaint form? Where do I find a fee waiver form? Those sorts of things. We can highlight the most relevant documents. Can I get a copy of my CC&Rs? And so we highlight those for all of the documents that the residents would want to see, past meeting minutes, agendas, financial reports, and then all of your governing documents, and policies, and resolutions, are all of them.
Susan, is there room in there to put like committee charters and club charters?
Absolutely. Yes.
For areas for all 200 clubs or 300 clubs, whatever you want.
It's very customizable.
Yeah, there absolutely is. And so then they can actually go in, so you'll see my profile. My profile is where they can go in, got seasonal visitors, they can go in and change their phone numbers, their email addresses, how they want to be contacted. So they're able to go in and make edits to that, so if they get a new email address, they can pop in there, and now we know where their email address is, and we can My balance, we just spoke about, that's where they go and see their ledger balance and see what's going on with the amounts that they owe to the flower. My violations, this person is compliant and they have no open violations. So if they had any violations, they would see those here. Now, they will only see information on themselves as a resident. So when they go in, the only thing that they're going to see is their information. They also have the ability to register visitors if we did that, and their architectural modifications. What is going on with my architectural modification? I want to make my house where we at. And so when architectural modifications are put into the system, they have submitted, and then all of the steps that ArcMod goes through. So you'll see that it's scheduled, or it's been approved in stipulations, or it's been denied. But there's actually a written record of that architectural modification in the system. I got ahead of myself, I'm sorry. So this is the forms and documents, and this is where we can highlight what you want your residents to see first. There are all of these categories, and all of this information is loaded there. So if you hit any of those drop downs, you'll see association documents. Those are going to be your government documents, your board meeting minutes. Those will be the minutes that have been approved in the prior meeting. Financial documents. You'll see a short set of your financial reports that are available to the homeowners. Obviously, delinquencies and a lot of the bank reconciliations and things are not in that particular short set. Commonly used forms. So your ARC form, your complaint form, your other request forms are there. Your insurance, should everybody need to see the insurance management reports are in here. We've got monthly management reports in it.
That was, sorry to interrupt. So was that page specific to the homeowner, or this is a general page?
This is a general page. So there are also documents that are loaded into Connect that are board only. So
Board
executive,
specific.
board specific. So when we load a document into Connect, we have a box that we can check, and if it's private, only the board will be able to see it. So things like executive minutes would be there. As board members now, you also have handy dandy access to Board View, which is just the board portal. This is where you can see a directory of all of the residents in the community, as well as some of these other things. So when you go into service requests, you'll see all of the work. When you go into art mods, you'll see all of the art mods. You can pull past ones, you can pull open ones, you can pull anything that's in the system. Violations as well. You're able to go in and see what violations are we looking at lately, what are people falling down on, what kind of things we need to address. And you can also track resident inquiries. So you can see how many calls are coming in, what they're falling about, and those sorts of things. And there are reports that you can pull under each of these categories.
So this next one is going to be a newer feature with our system that we think is that's just super cool from an IT standpoint. And I think you and board members should be able to appreciate it.
Right, and so what you can do, if you go into violations or architectural or inquiries, you can pick a date range, you can look for open violations by a summary. So this is your summary page, and you're going to see, okay, how are we doing violations, and how are we tracking? Are we seeing more violations lately? Are we seeing fewer? And so what this will show you is you've got 129 open, 6 of them have been closed from February. And so 107 here, and it'll give you categories. So you've got 59 people who read a friendly notice, which is that very first communication that goes out to them that says, hey, by the way, we're reminding you that, you need to connect your weeds, you need to do those sorts of things. And then this will also give you detail on the categories. So most of your violations, or most of the violations in this particular instance, is 59% over there, that's landscape. So that's information that you can use, that we also use, to be able to be proactive to communicate out to the community. If we see suddenly an uptick in basketball goals, we send out a communication reminding people about basketball goals, what they are and what they're allowed to do. Landscaping is obviously a lot of the violations every time it rains. And so, but this is a tool that we use, that you can use to say, okay, what do we need to do for our residents? We are seeing an uptick in violations.
So does Connect automatically hear the second notice? Say you have a friendly notice, does it automatically send out to Kathy and whoever? Hey, it's time to generate another notice for John because he ignored my first one. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Is it proactively saying you've done one, this is list of people that have gone beyond that deadline you set up?
Right. And
That'll be
so-
on the app. Yeah, they'll show you that.
But so it will, it becomes proactive.
There's an alert.
Yeah, it works at its time, and so if we have friendly notices out there, when Kathy does her next site tour with Anne-Marie, or whoever's out there doing that, they will have on the app the ability to pull up and say, oh, there's weeds here. They'll pull up that address and see if they've already received a friendly notice. And if they have, then they move to the notice of violation. If they do not have another violation for weeds, then they get a friendly notice. So the app shows you what stage each violation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I just saw it there.
Okay, and then this is the detailed report. So in addition to getting that summary, you can get a detailed report, and this will show you all of the violations, the status that they're in, and some details on what it is that these people have done. These people were parking in their gravel, and so we remind them in the letter of the CCNR section they're violating, or the rule they're violating, and just let them know what it is that we need them to correct. And that's really important. Clear communication is important, because you don't want to send out a violation and they go, I don't understand what I'm doing wrong, or where does it say I can't do that?
Now, is all of this available to us right now?
Yeah, it is now active. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, this is the same thing, work order metrics. And so we have the work orders, and you go see how many work orders we have, what kind of areas they are. Electrical is going to be lighting, so there are a lot of lighting requests. There's a little out here, we need to do something there. So roof, we've got a roof work order open, and then some general maintenance, and then here are the categories as to what's been going on.
So the changes, the basic demographics that are interfaced with it, to make it more of a summary. Because I noticed before, I've always had the list. I had
We
that.
call that the old way.
Right, now I'm just saying, and so, the tools have been here, it's just making create a better graphic.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Just kind of a dashboard.
to answer your question, you hadn't seen the graphics, but the details of it.
Yeah, all the information's been there, but you gotta read for it, you gotta look for
Right,
it.
no, again, that's
Just put it
a
in a
nice graphic, that is.
dashboard.
Good as like a pie chart.
John likes pie.
What is it?
Note to self. And then what you're used to seeing was the actual listing. Architectural modifications. And again, this is something that we can be proactive. Most of your architectural modifications that were out there are paint. So we remind owners of the procedures. We want to paint your house, you must do X, Y, and Z. So we're able to use this to see what kind of things the community is up to, what kind of improvements people are making to their property right now. And use that to be able to communicate with the residents to let them know proper procedures.
Well, what we like about it is it's all about being proactive. And if we can give managers a better tool, we can give the board members a better tool at a glance, because we love to be cognizant of your time. Even though you're paid very well for what you do, we want to be cognizant of your time. So if we can do that, then that's great.
Now, is this modifiable? Like, would it be possible to have access for an ARC member who is in violations? Or a PrAC member to only see the work orders?
Yeah,
And then, so that, because one of the big things was the architectural committee was trying to figure out what violations they were. And instead of them having to get this long printed report, it'd be nice. So I'm wondering, is that something the system is modifiable to say?
we can grant and take away permission.
But is it grant permissions to the whole board packet, or is it grant permissions to just
Only
the?
select things.
Okay, so you can say, okay, for Joe Smith on the architectural committee, he can see the violations, and that's it. Plus his own individual stuff, but, so I think that's something that we should be able to look into.
Yeah.
Because on the page that my associates will see when they go to the Sunflower page, there is a board member section, and that is what activates board review in its entirety. But then below that, we can file committee members as members of those committees, so we know who's there.
Right, so we can adjust their login to do that. I think that's.
Give permissions.
Right, give them permission to allow it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So kind of going back to one of your comments, so all of this, of course, nowadays it's handheld. We've got an app, you can get on any device you want. What is really neat about it for Kathy or Maurice of the world is that it's a little hard to see if we have a bubble map. So when they're driving down the street, there's going to be a bubble that pops up that says, hey, that house has a leak violation, and they're ready for a second violation.
Or they fixed it.
Right.
And close it right then.
Exactly. So it kind of helps them through the process and makes it more expedient. It makes it more streamlined as well. And this is all real time. So if you see Anne Marie driving by your house, and you want to run your computer to see what you just did, you can do that. All you're saying, no, I know all you want to do that. It's all real time. So you can run and go see whatever she did. She caught that garbage can, whatever it is. But it's all real time and it's all available, which is a phenomenal tool for all our managers, as well as other board members. You can see a lot of the stuff that Susan reviewed, but tasks are in there, property notes, maps, call logs, the architectural modification, work orders, all that stuff. So very, very user-friendly. This is going to be probably the most glamorous part of our presentation, cybersecurity. So a lot of people actually don't bring this up because it's not sexy and it's not fun. But there's a lot of people out there that really don't realize how extremely important this is. The real estate industry in general, whether it's HOAs or brokers or what have you, there's 10,000 attempts or hits or whatever they call it a day on that industry. If you think about the information the company has, we've got deeds, we've got sometimes bank routing numbers, we've got names, we've got sometimes your pet names, you have your visitors, you have the cars, all that information. That stuff has to be locked in. So we're excited to say that we have the top cybersecurity available. We are a $500 million company, so we put a lot of resources into it. I don't know what hardly any of this means, but I do know that it's very good. Like, honestly, tell you, that is good. And
You said you have 10 club.
I told you I was on my team. But if that's not impressive enough, what should impress you is that Bellagio in Nevada uses the same protocols and the same data farms, eBay, PayPal, and eHarmony. So you know that if eHarmony and PayPal are safe, your information is going to be safe.
And we also have a $10 million policy that covers the cybersecurity issues.
So again, not that sexy, but it really is extremely, extremely important. If you think about it from a business sense. So I'm going to turn it over.
What's our liability if somebody hacks your system, gets through all that, and steals all of our resident information?
No liability, that's us. That's us. The only liability you guys have is you, board members, keep information on their phones, their tablets, those kinds of things. So if somebody hacks into those,
Right.
that's you guys, right? Yeah. And your ISP into the building, right? So you pay for the ISP, you control the ISP. So that's on you. But everything on our computers is us.
Well, you pay the ISP if you want.
All right, so Kim, you all know Kim's history. Kim's going to talk about kind of the old Kim. So Kim Rubley is our vice president. She was the vice president of Tucson. Somehow John convinced her to turn the reins over to Susan and to move to Phoenix. And now she's working in one of our areas. I know she heard it first. So even though I prefaced this in the beginning, that even though we feel that we're really just getting started with the community, it really hasn't been 2 years yet. So we really want to expand on the positive notes and the snapshots and the accomplishments of the partnership. But Kim's going to run through some of that.
I was really lucky to be a part of this event. It was really a lot of fun. It was great to come in and present a lot of this to the board at that time and some of the residents and whatever we did. We started with the transition, and that was, we started actually preparing this in September, October 2018, if I forever ago. And at that point in time, you may not have seen it, but our entire team was on this. You know, we had people all over in our corporate office, in our Scottsdale office, in our local office, preparing for that, which made for a very successful transition. And that proved to just kind of set things on the right track. We brought in Kathy at that time and all that. And then moving on to there, so that was kind of the beginning of it. And we were excited about that. And then going in there, immediately we wanted to work with the owners on how they were paying the bills. Essentially twice a year, we wanted to make sure that was covered and covered well. And also an opportunity for them to go, because so many of them are here and there and hanging out and all that. We have the capability of them having their online statements delivered to them, new statements, so that people don't charge for paper statements to go out. And then also with that is the ability to pay online. So we wanted to, knowing the demographics, we came down, we brought a whole team of people. It was a fun day. Our county team came down and put out little computers and have that available to everybody to come in if they wanted and sign up for that. So that is something we can do ongoing. You know, all of this we can do at any time, and not only seasonal for you all. I think the fall is when they all start coming back. I'm not going to do that here in the back of your minds. And then right away in November of 2018, as your board had just been elected, although some of them had carried on from the previous year, we had more training. We came in and spent the whole day, captured the whole day, and we talked about a lot of the things we talked about now, when we were, who can help you, what can you do, where do you get this information, the board connects, and all of that. We went through in detail, very intimately. Right after that comes in the early part of November, we have an annual expo. It's an educational and informational expo for all of our members in Arizona.
It's in Hawaii.
Yeah.
We wish, we can't get John to top the island, but you know, we do. But what is fun, I think it's fun. I rented a vehicle, I always wanted to drive those vehicles. So I rented, you know, a van, and we all got in, and we had donuts and milk on the way up, and we had lunch there, and happy hour, and we all drove back. We had four people off of the board that had gone. It's also a time that we get to interact with vendors that support all of these services that we have to reach out to. So it's a good time to use the vendors there. That was November, and then in addition to the education, you'll see sort of the common thread here, the education of our associates and our boards and our homeowners is very important to us. It's ongoing, it's always ongoing. So then we brought in our corporate trainer, Brandy, and they had all the staff here. And I brought some of the staff in from the Troy office as well. We were in this room and we did a culture shaping education. And it's the culture that we live by day to day. We did different exercising on that, trying to ingrain different things into them as far as how to live that day in, day out. So we had a great time with that. And then at the 1-year commitment, which was already decided by the previous board, that's when they wanted to sit down and sort of look at things and assess how everybody had been doing and where we might have some opportunities to make some improvements. So we met with the board and we came to what I think you all have recently been exposed to is the financial milestones that we made and had promised you in our business development portion of our meetings. And we went over that, we went over campus performance, our maintenance performance, front desk, everything. We even talked about, do we need more people here? Do we need more people there? And we even advice there. So that was a very good meeting. Then all the executive, our executive team, which is 6 or 7 of us, we did roadshows, and it was specifically set to go to our different on-site communities such as yours within the whole Arizona region and to reach out to our staff there. One of the things that we do here, we really try to work through this and not make this happen, but they tend to be a little isolated at times, and because they're not physically in our office, they're not interacting with us on a daily basis. So one of our VPs had a fantastic idea that we just all get to farm and go visit them. And so we came in and had time with them. We talked about concerns they had, issues they might have been, ways we can help them. What tools do you use? Is there something we can bring you to make your job better or easier? So that was very good too. And then we did, again, the August performance review in 2019. We did another, that's right, 2 years in a row, we did the expo, and we did have good showing of that too. So the second year we brought it back up in November. And then most recently, I think this is where the board training was done on Zoom. No, that was April 2020. Your board training was done on Zoom. Yes. Right. Yeah, which was really good. So, and then of course, I'm talking a bit about guidance and presentations there. I wonder if any of you saw, and it may have gone unnoticed, or maybe even in your junk mail during the COVID time, March to May. I served on a committee, so this is why it perks my interest. Communication. One of the resources that we have, resources they just pulled together, and we started talking about that. So we were sending out emails to boards of the addresses we had on file, email addresses of just snippets of it. So I'm just curious.
Now you're talking about the webinars that were being done?
No, we have those too, which we're talking about a little bit, but these were just snippets, real cute, communication. Okay, all right, just I want to know so I can get back and make sure maybe the list wasn't complete, or maybe it might have been between, I know there's been changes, but it might have been between changes. Yes.
And so, throughout the process, I mean, pre-COVID, and that makes a difference.
It does.
Like you said, you brought down, and part of your core values is we're going to help. And we've sat in meetings with Susan, and she's learned that I can't be a little blunt at times, and I apologize. That's just my nature. I was like, we just are always that way, it's this or that. And then we sat down with John, and we had some issues and challenges with people that operate the front desk, and brought that to your attention. That hasn't changed. That's month, when I came in here with my wife, and was totally embarrassed. So I guess, how frequently pre-COVID did you do those types of training? And I know post-COVID, things are, it's crazy right now, but this is pretty much every normal for the next year and a half, unfortunately, probably a couple of years, that, you know, how frequently is that being done now? So I'm just a little curious as to, I mean, and I assume that would be a Susan question, since she is now the new kid.
What's about that just in April? That's all of us question too.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, you've heard our concerns, and I came in on Monday because I found out I didn't fill in my waiver, which I didn't realize they needed. I didn't realize they needed one to be just on the board meeting. But Kathy informed me, and was like, fine, hey, you know, come in. And my wife said, well, I'm going in, you might as well fill in your waiver too. So we went in to fill in the waiver, and less than a pleasant experience. And Kathy can attest to it. She was standing right next to me when it happened. So, you know, it's embarrassing, especially, and I guess, so my question becomes back as to how frequently are you planning those to get our staff into the, out of the what do you want theory to how can I help you? Right now we're at the what do you want kind of theory, and that's not good. I mean, that's not, it's not a face we want to have as a community center. And I mean, it just, so I guess my question is to you, Susan, how frequently do you think you would be trying to do and get that philosophy that you report?
Absolutely.
out there?
And so, you know, we had, we do these regularly. We had addressed some of the issues clearly. It didn't work. What I had planned to do while the center is still relatively close, and I know you're getting ready to open up really soon, is do some customer experience training with our associates. We've obviously not talked about our core values. We want certain things to happen with people in the center. We want them to be able to stand up, we want to make eye contact with them a certain distance away. We want to be able to do those things. So that's something that I had planned to do. I know we were looking for that fourth person, and I was, you know, the decision to reopen the fitness center and billiards came rather quickly. And while we were mostly closed, I was hoping to defer that till we had that fourth person in place so that we could do it all together. But it sounds like we've got an urgent issue going on because we are reopening the other areas. And so we will get on it next week.
Well, I mean, again, it's just, I mean, I've experienced it many different times, pre-COVID, post-COVID. I can't speak for anyone else in the room, but I mean, my background is hospitality, so it's kind of, you want people to feel welcome. That's kind of like, it's called the welcome center, not get out of yourself.
And when we onboard associates, they go through some of that, but we do need to do continuing education there to make sure that, you know, people tend to be good for the first little while, and I know that tensions are running high and everybody's got comfort, and it may be some of that, but we did try to address that, and so I will make sure that that customer experience training happens right away with the staff we have in place, and then we'll do it again. And we got to do it.
But those people need to realize it doesn't matter to anybody in the world what's happening behind the scenes. The building could be falling apart back there. They don't put that to the people that are up front. So, right. Well, we're all saying absolutely. We're all agreeing in it, and we've talked about it. And it's been 3 months since we talked to you about it, and 2 months since we talked to you about it.
Well,
But what I'm saying
looks like it's going to make a change.
But what I'm saying is, it's just, an action plan is great. I understand during this time, everybody's a little short tempered. You know, it happens, but again, the background noise, the problems in the home, problems at the.
Doesn't matter.
Right, so, you know, and I guess, so knowing you're going to train starting again next week, because, I mean, think of it if you were a new homeowner or a new person looking to buy, that's your impression. It's not.
That happened to be with the prior company years ago. Right.
Yeah.
It was like, you can't come in. And you're like, I'm not, you know?
Yeah.
I'm trying to hand something through the, I'm trying to come in. And
Yeah.
that was my first impression of Sun Farm. I wanted to turn around, sell my house, and
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're ultimately responsible for all of our associates. I'm responsible for all of our associates, right? And so we can only provide so much training, so much stuff, and if they're not getting it, then they gotta go. And we gotta bring somebody else in here who has a service mind. That's what we are. We're a service industry, right? This is your home, and we're a guest here as well. So we wanna make sure that every person that walks in the door is greeted by somebody who stands up out of the chair, says, "Good morning, John," or "Mr. Hatzel," or whatever it is. "What can I do for you today? How's your day going?" That's the experience that the residents should have. If that's not what you're getting, then we'll fix it. And if it has to be up by a change in employees, then we'll get them out and get new people in there.
Well, as I said, I just wanted to know, I mean, and I know during the COVID time, as you've been scrambling and working and going, there's only so much one can do, so I understand that, but knowing it's an ongoing training process, now that we've kind of reached a level.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna use COVID as an excuse. I don't care about COVID. That's not an excuse for somebody's bad behavior. I get it. Right?
Well, and John, you and Susan both aware, I had an incident that we had that went on for a full year with a customer. We took their money
Yeah.
inappropriately.
Yeah, right.
Nobody in corporate answered the letters.
Yeah.
That was embarrassing personally.
Mhm.
It's embarrassing to the community. Yeah, it bothers me intensely because if I'm a resident and not a board member, I want to be comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I don't expect to be comfortable with the board member. People chasing the board. But when I'm not sitting on the board, I want to feel like if a mistake is made, that it only takes one time to bring that mistake to somebody's attention and it is resolved. It's the end of story, done. And I think that type of training, however you provide it, however you inculcate that into the culture, is lacking in some areas. And it bothers me because I want everybody that lives here to enjoy living. I don't ever want to have somebody try to poke something through the door and be told, get out of here. And it wasn't you all who did it, so that's it. But we need to be a welcoming community.
Absolutely.
And I think it starts with.
Absolutely.
Well, it goes back to what John was saying on the first side. It goes back to the culture. It goes back to the appreciation of client and resident experience. And it's 6 simple things. We talk about it every single day.
Every single day.
Every single day. So it's either you're going to get it, like John said, you're either going to get it or you're not. If you're not, then it's fine. Maybe this isn't the right place for you, but I'll be damned if the residents are going to have that experience. I don't care if you're a board member or not. So we have certain standards, we have certain culture, and that's the way it needs to be, period. That's it.
Next question. You said e-statements.
Are we still taking questions?
And the only reason I asked this, I didn't know they existed. And so maybe,
okay, we'd love to do that again.
well, the only reason, even with putting that out, because I'm on AutoPay, I really don't need to see the statement. And if it can save the employee money from the billing experience.
I have to get a statement by law.
It's a new law.
But you don't have to look at it.
Right, but.
You don't have to get it by paper. You
Right,
can
but
get it by
that's what I'm
sign.
saying, but it's in your statement.
So-
Right,
Correct.
because we get charged or something.
25, right?
I think she threw it up to $1.40.
Yeah.
It's all, but whatever I'm saying is, an e-statement is great, to me, but I didn't know they existed. And actually, I think we need to talk about it. Why aren't we using e-statements? So knowing they exist, then that's a good thing. So I think we need to get that information out.
Another big push for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We did want to initially, a big push for it. So we brought the whole team down, hey, come visit, the whole deal. I think probably on, I don't know if it's on the statements or not. But
It is on the statement that you sign up for,
yeah.
to receive future statements electronically.
Okay.
And there's a-
I know I just got one. I didn't.
You don't have to.
Well, no, I didn't pay much attention to it because I knew what it was, and it's like, okay.
It's at the top corner of the state.
It's on there, yeah.
Certainly, you know, people look.
But see, I mean,
you know,
I bought it, so I don't necessarily.
Right, so you don't even read it really, and most people just look, see the balance, it's okay, and they don't even bother.
So,
We can do the communication.
Yeah.
To get
because yeah, if you're pushing it, because, you know, that's all.
Yeah, we did check on that, and we were able to stable saturation in this community, so.
Well, John mentioned that we are a service-based organization, service-based industry. And because of that, we're starting to kind of ground our roots in hospitality. Because we realize with communities, particularly like this, it needs to be a resort type feeling. People, it's the resident experience that counts. So we've developed some programs with some of the same consulting firms that Ritz-Carlton, Four Seasons, the real hospitality-based companies are partnering with to develop culture, to develop training protocols, and to develop service standards. So those are the types of things that you should expect to see rolled out, and those are the types of things you should expect every single one of your staff members, whether it's the four of us, or Kathy, or Anne Marie, or janitorial staff, poolman, doesn't matter.
Paul, what's the time frame on the rollout?
I don't know when we're scheduled. It's going to be, I think, 60 days to 90 days to roll out the training protocol. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was.
Well, I think for at least a few people, it's going to be next week. For the masses, it's going to be, we want to make sure that we get everyone together and stuff like that. So I would say, we commit to 60 days? Easily. All right. No later than 60 days, but again, it's all our point where we're just talking about. There are going to be some immediate steps taken to at least shore up the experience that you have, and unfortunately, I'm sure other people have. This is really the fun part. I lied about the cybersecurity. This stuff is fun. Right? So when we first started, the analysis that we did of your investments, we're making about 4.3%, we'll round it up to 16,000. We did the analysis because of our buying power and active relationships that we have. We leveraged that $7.2 billion of custodial deposits that we have to partner with organizations, institutions that give us above our rates. So we were able to raise it from 0.93% to 1.92%. From 15, we'll call it 16,000 to $32,000 in interest earned. No cost to the association. It's just because it's a value add essentially because you're part of the first residential. So what was the impact to the community? Again, it hasn't been 2 years yet, but what has been the impact for Sunflower? We started at the third quarter, I think, of 2018. So we're $12,482 in interest earned. 2019, it was $34,804. Again, you're coming from a place of about 15,000 to 16,000. So we'll call it 12,500 in 2018, 35,000 in 2019, 2020 year to date is 27,000. Now, granted, market's tanking, but again, because of our leverage and our buying power, we're still getting above market rates than anybody else still, even though they're, we'll call them less lousy rates, or however that grammatically works out, but they're not lousy, they're less lousy.
Well, you've got 100 basis points in a rising rate. I don't see any accomplishment in that. And I'll tell you what I said, Paul. I wasn't on the board, I wasn't on finance. I tracked every single CD that came to it because I went to finance. We tracked every single CD that came to it. I came to the meeting where it was decided how to reinvest that CD. Not once were you all ever the highest rate available to a corporate entity, because I called the banks that had the best rates. Now, some of them were the First International or First Internet Bank is one of them, First Internet Bank. FDIC insured. And they were about 10 basis points higher than what we were getting. And I called them up and I said, if I'm an HOA, can I buy one of your CDs? Yeah, you can certainly buy one of our CDs. Now, I understand you can't shop every little bank. I'm not trying to say that, but you're moving a lot of money.
Yeah.
But your ability to get the highest rates, I will really disagree. I just didn't see it. And I tracked every CD that came due for about 15, 16 month period. And again, rising rate environment, 100 basis points, not that big a deal, because I know what my personal, I'm a very conservative investor. I know what my personal CD did.
Yeah.
During the same period of time. And I probably got a little better than 100 basis points, but I went out a little further because the soul was coming.
Were you basing that off of our updated rate sheets, you know? Or were you not providing those?
I was a homeowner also. I came in as a homeowner and the finance committee makes recommendations, it comes to the board, and the board's saying we should get 1.85% for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I had looked up 2 years that, you know, $250,000 CD, to make sure that the bank that was offering it could be done commercially, if it's an or it's an IRA rate or whatever. And I brought it up at board meetings. I said at board meetings, as an audience member, he said, why aren't you getting the 1.90 that First Internet Bank was paying? And there was, we can't shop every bank, was the answer. And again, I accept that. But it also means that you're not getting above market rates if as an individual I can go get a better rate.
Right.
So I understand where you're coming from.
Right.
And I think we probably locked in some CDs appropriately that will still have a decent until they come increase in that. But again, I tracked it because you all have made that commitment about covering the income we lost with the disclosure fees, with this being part of it. And I publicly disagreed with it, and I privately disagreed with it.
Probably what I'd like to do now that you're on the board, we probably could have done this when you were on, but now that you're on the board, is I'd like to put you in touch with Carl Sean, who handles this program for us, if you want to be that involved. If you do, which is great, you guys can talk shop, compare rates and all that to make sure, one, that you understand where we're coming from, what our actual current rates are, to see maybe there's some improvements we can make, or to make sure that you have all the information you have.
Well, and you've made, don't get me wrong, you've made, because you invest more than we used to. Right, our money market, your overnight investment is a better program than what you used to have, and of course that bumped up. That was legitimate additional income. It just rankles me a little bit when I see 100 basis points up there, and I know that was rising rate environment. And, you know, if you'd have gone down in that kind of environment, we had a bigger problem.
Right, exactly, right?
Yeah, so I just,
Well, it's relative, right? Because as their yield is going up, so is ours in the same or even a bigger margin.
yeah,
That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the margin to what you were getting and what we could offer. That's the margin that we were talking about.
no.
Yeah, variance of what you had to what we could get.
That's not what the addendum says.
That's what the addendum.
The addendum to the contract doesn't say over your old management company. It says over market rates.
It says an additional revenue.
Right, and I think the sheet that I provided you recently where we had calculated that $50,000 with interest, I made some assumptions. So I took your prior management company and their yield, and then I took the new yield with the investments that I recommended. And then down at the corner, you'll see, because we assume we've got to see it coming through. Obviously, you're not going to invest at that rate, you'll reinvest where the market would do. So there are factors down at the bottom that talk about average market rates.
Right.
So we put in some factors when we came to a number, and then we reduced it by the rates they would have gotten if they had reinvested.
Well, and I don't want to be in that. Another board agreed to it, said you all had done it. I just, again, it rankles me a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
If you're okay with it, it seems like you're a little passionate about it, but are you okay if we kind of go down that road and let's at least get on the phone with Carla?
Sure.
And
Although John's better at it than I am. I mean,
Well, you both can get
he's hospitality.
Yeah,
He's an accountant.
If I manager,
So yeah, let's set that up and then, let's put all our best.
It does say probably impacted above market rate.
It doesn't say any previous land.
But anyway,
Yeah.
neither here nor there. Other board agreed.
But let's dig into that. Okay, so pre-legal services, one of the things we talked about with the original board is that with our pre-legal services, there's no cost to the community for collections up until the lien is filed after the lien. So those results were about $6,000 in savings on your budget that wasn't charged to the association. And we collected about $15,000 in delinquency. Fortunately, your community isn't all that high in delinquency, which is great, but still not too bad. And then currently, I believe we're shopping with insurance. Kathy's working on that now. So as of right now, I know we have another policy or two coming in next month, but as of right now, we're looking at savings about $2,600. Hopefully, it's going to be more for at least comparable saving, comparable.
Insurance coverage.
Yes, insurance coverage. It's still not.
It's coverage.
Yeah.
The insurance part is kind of, but coverage, yeah.
All right. So we good on that? Okay. So we got 20 minutes left.
Actually, we only got about 8, so we have to open it up for.
Yeah,
Legally, it's an open meeting, so we have to provide.
Strategic community plan, right? I think we tried to get this going at the last board.
That's his committee.
That's his, yeah. You want to speak on that?
Sure. Yeah, again, it's something that we will come out and work with you, although I know Dave, you're very good at all this.
We would appreciate some help.
Absolutely. And it's a very tailored program. Tailored in the sense that we bring it to you and give you ideas of how to look at some of your goals and where your strengths and weaknesses are and how we're going to go to it, pieces it up, pieces it out, but not so tailored that you can't make it work here. And that's what I love about it. And so it's a long process, going in, we sort of tell the group that, it's probably about a 9-month process where we're getting through and all that, but I don't want that to scare you that things won't get done. I think that was sort of the perception last time that because it was so long, things weren't getting done. But we love to do it. And we really take your financials, we take the reserve study and what the goals are of the community now, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever the task force or committee wants to do. And we help you just kind of plan that out. And what's very important is it does consider what was done before. Some of us all remember some of the things done, where we are now, and again, what the future, what you want the future to look like.
Aesthetically, financially, resident experience, the whole.
So doing that, so you prepare the surveys and get them out to our community, you have the question. You already know all the question backgrounds that, the generic questions to make sure they're unbiased and all that. You have that whole.
It is.
Right, so you already have that toolkit.
That's also a good area to kind of touch on our resources, but the national resources, the regional resources, because these other communities that are like yours or even bigger have experience on that. We go to them and say, hey, what kind of a survey did you do for X, Y, and Z? Maybe we'll put a bowling alley in, and we're going to get things tailored. I know. Tailored to that.
Want to talk 1 minute too long. No bowling alley.
We'd be happy with that.
We've done it for communities as large as 12,000 single-family homes. So, education, we're big on education. I know Keith touched on it on one of the slides, but there's quarterly events for board members. There's over 30 different programs designed for board members where whatever you want to take advantage of, whatever you want to learn. We've got programs designed for volunteers as well, committee heads, what have you. Whatever you need, we've got 52 years of experience. We're happy to bring it to the community. We'll volunteer some of those things, but ask us on the rest if there's something you can offer. Something real quick, we're gonna touch real quick on this, I think Susan is, Jim mentioned one of your touch points, I guess, was possibly in coverage on the weekends. From a management standpoint, one of yours are here on Saturdays and Sundays maybe, is that correct?
Well,
We're leaving it up to you.
Well, and what we said was, as a hospitality industry, which you now are kind of realizing that your prime customer base is a weekend. I mean, we have residents there, they work full-time, that means a full-time employee out doing her thing. I mean, she takes time off work to do board meetings, but there should be someone, to answer anything that comes up during that time. I mean, it only makes common sense you wouldn't walk into the Ritz-Carlton and go, I want to talk to a manager on duty, and they go, oh, it's Saturday. Sorry, have a good day. It's just logic. And again, embracing the hospitality mentality, you're going to find that that's the only way to accomplish what you want done. So we looked at it as, you've got 2 days a week where you get a lot of realtors coming in, people looking at things. Someone to put the best face forward is usually your manager.
Right, absolutely. And so with the Welcome Center staffing, obviously we can do whatever the board wants to do in terms of staffing. The first option in the RFP actually talked about having management on site when the center is open. Now, obviously, you're open 14 hours a day, Monday to Saturday, and 7 to 5 on Sundays. So with existing staffing, we can't cover that many hours. It just isn't something that's realistic. But this seems like a prohibitive, potentially, scenario to add another person so that we have enough bodies to cover 14 hours a day, 6 days a week, and the Sunday hours as well. But that would put a management person on site anytime the center is open from 7 in the morning until 9 o'clock at night on about 6 days and that sort of thing. The other option, and I understand John's point, do we then think, okay, is it adequate for us to do some office hours and a couple nights a week so that residents know if they're still working, or do we that they can come in on a Tuesday and a Thursday night? And we can shuffle some of this around with existing staffing to be able to get coverage later in the day on the weekdays and those sorts of things. Or we could add another part-time assistant manager who's available to be able to do those whatever nights you want and whatever hours you want. So it's really up to the board. We will work with whatever you want to do. I don't think the intention necessarily was to have someone here the entire time, but if that's what you choose to do, we could add another person to be able to cover that. If the intention is to have some off business hours where there's a manager on site, we can shift some things around with the current staff or potentially add another person, how many hours we want to add to that available time.
How and willing, okay, because this is better, because you brought it up. Your current manager and assistant manager work contracted hours, which I usually work Monday through Friday.
When they were hired, that was the understanding.
So we don't want to add another person. We want to say, it's our belief that we can have just one person here during the day, a couple of days a week, or free up the other person for the weekend.
Yeah.
Is that a viable?
Sure.
Okay.
Split it out, absolutely.
Okay.
Look at the 40 hours on the weekends and 2 days there and 3 days during the week, right?
Yeah, and they trade off, however they want to trade off, or, or maybe we don't need somebody on Sunday, but just do a short day, whatever.
Well, I'd just like to jump in and just full transparency. I think that absolutely we can with our staff, and I think that's what Susan's trying to illustrate for sure. Is it the current staff? Maybe not.
Okay, but it's
doable for sure. Absolutely.
You may need a changing staff.
okay. I hate to cut you all off, but I legally have to.
Sure.
open it
No,
up
that's
to
okay.
The general public.
But,
Otherwise, it's not an open public.
yeah.
There it is, up another street.
Okay, so you got another.
Wow. We got lucky.
Before we go, I do have another question. Susan, did you ever get the food?
Yes, and I got confirmation from Veronica yesterday that your fund balances now match your audit. I think I explained to you, is that what the question?
Well, that and the February thing. The February thing's one disconcerting. Remember, no one has the February report that I sent them to.
Okay, I know the February financial was revised, I thought.
But it was never reissued.
Okay, and so now my question, now that I got confirmation from Veronica that we made that final adjustment at 9:30 to match the audit, and basically what that
It
was.
still doesn't.
It does as of yesterday.
Okay, as of yesterday, all right.
But that is
Yeah.
going to change all of your financials since October of
Just balance sheet. Yeah, it should.
Yeah, because what the difference was, the discrepancy is things that were accrued back into the prior year.
Right, but wouldn't she have just made that into the audit statement? Or he, whomever. And instead of going back to restate 8, 9 months, 10 months, say, okay, this is a thing, prefixed September beginning balance, and then just go, okay, from here on, this is the change that makes.
Just do an adjusting entry.
Right, just do an adjusting entry in August instead of going all the way back and saying, we posted this, it didn't get reported, so we pulled it there, we needed to post it to this, the audit. So that adjustment to that, but then make that, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
I just wanted to know that, because I had sent a couple emails out and hadn't heard. I know you were including it, it's more.
I was gonna say, I didn't, yeah, what she does.
Yeah.
I have a quick question for you.
Yes, question.
So we're talking about the management at all hours. Are you suggesting a manager or just front desk staff?
Well, I think the way we want, sorry.
No, go ahead. I think we would need a manager. You have your front desk staff, but is your front desk staff empowered to do some of the things that your manager does? Probably not. So if we're looking for someone that, most of the inquiries that come in the front desk can be handled, but there are occasions where someone wants to talk to a manager. So we were looking at someone at managerial level to be here for those hours, whatever we decide those hours.
Somebody that's in charge.
Okay, and
Can make a decision.
They make a decision.
let me apologize in front of this question. This is going to be the elephant in the room, and I know it's coming off rude, but I'd like to know. When this was asked during the COVID, the height of COVID, when we needed a manager, we got honestly no cooperation with working with that. What's changed that you're now willing to find a solution?
Well, as Kim mentioned, this may involve changing staff. And so at the time with the existing staff, I know that I had volunteers come in on the weekend to make sure that everything went smoothly with the opening and those sorts of things. But that was an issue at the time.
Fair enough.
So our goal, I think we're learning a few things from the interaction today, obviously. Some things were brought up, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, some people brought up today, what happened. But what I can tell you, and John's going to back up here in a minute, is that we've always had our attention, but obviously you have our attention now. We want to keep partnering with the community. We think that we know that there's a great amount of resources we can offer, particularly here in Tucson, that other companies just can't. And we don't want you to have switch companies. If you have switch companies, you got to change your whole staff and systems and all that, and it's no fun for anybody. So we would like to continue the partnership. We want to shore up a lot of the things we're talking about. And we want to have the opportunity within the next 60 to 90 days to bring some of these new things that innovation that we're talking about to the forefront. Again, COVID or no COVID. So we can have a partnership. It seems like we have a very good cohesive board now. There's been 4 or 5 different board presidents, boards, and things of that sort. And it's been crazy, but we'd like to get a cohesiveness between us. We want to shore up that partnership, put those benchmarks in place, and then keep checking on.
Oh, no, I just was curious.
But
No, I just
it's definitely Friday.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Go for it.
I did a survey 5 years ago when I was on the board. I called 14 different students that were the same age as us. And I said, what are you seeing? And they all said exactly the same thing. They said, you're at a fork in the road. Either become an anonymous neighborhood that just blends into everything else and you lose your identity, or you go down the other road where you basically reinvigorate the founding fathers' vision and make it better than it was before. And they all said you need some kind of lifestyle person. They didn't call them activities coordinator, they call them community coordinators, or, you know, lifestyle person.
Lifestyle director.
What's your viewpoint and what's your resource for that sort of
We have hundreds of them
Yeah.
around the country that we can draw from and create that network. It's something, if you don't want to add a head count, again, with these new networks that we're putting together, it's something that you can still benefit from, but frankly, not have to pay for. If you want, John and Susan, we talked about, if you want that actual head count here and that person here, it would create an extremely vibrant community or really set it apart.
You I don't know the answer.
You guys have a great group of great lifestyle committee, right? That's very active in this community. Perhaps they can be supported by, you know, our larger group. We formed about 4 or 5 months ago, we formed what we call West Region Lifestyle Group. We've taken lifestyle managers from California, Nevada, and Arizona. We formed this group. And it's a group that shares best practices, ideas, thoughts. Hey, what have you guys been doing that are successful? What have you guys been doing that are successful? So this group has really kind of come together in really a cohesive way, start sharing a lot of ideas. Those ideas are going to start getting disseminated out into, you know, communities like yours. They can partner with your local community or your committees, your lifestyle committee, or you can literally have your own lifestyle person. That's been successful too.
What size community do you think, at what size would you say you really need your own lifestyle coordinator? Are we big enough, or, you know, does it make more sense for a 3,000 house community? Because obviously that's to the expense of, you know, nobody does it for free.
How many clubs do you have? 45. We have some communities that have 936 homes, 55 and up, but they have 45 associates, one of which is a lifestyle director. We have some communities that have 1,200 single-family homes that have a lifestyle director. Yeah, so it does happen for communities smaller than this and communities larger.
And is it a $70,000 a year expense, 80? What's, and I'm not holding it.
60 to 70,000, yeah.
Okay, my last question. You had mentioned, and it's in the post, about changing the burden for payroll, cost plus.
The cost plus, right.
And John and I are having a hell of a time with this.
Okay.
Well, because is there a number, an average, that we could put to that to do a calculation of, you know, how does it compare to what we've been doing? And I know that's a hard question to ask, but it's like we're trying to sit here and do a comparison, and it's, you know, I think it saves us money, is what we both have said to each other.
Yeah.
But then we look at each other and go, how much? And we don't know.
It's hard to quantify because we don't know what benefits are what the cost of those benefits are, because we just give up loan. I mean, we know the taxes, and you know, we have payroll taxes.
But you don't
know
really
that.
know.
Right. Well, I mean, even just assuming a 10% unemployment rate, you go, okay, you know, let's look at that. But, you know, the health insurance costs and all the other burden costs that go in that, you know, is this person on a 401k? You know, it's just, there's so many different factors, it's really hard to quantify what the.
Well, if you make some general assumptions, right, in the numbers that you have and go into a different model, same assumption, right, take the two models, you're saving about $300 a month in payroll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, hate to cut you off, but it's 4:30.
That clock's off.
Oh,
Oh, that clock's off.
We haven't been able to
Oh.
program that, you know, we couldn't get the TV to work.
Our
technology.
we'll probably do that for you.
He's just asked for it. But, no, I mean, it's interesting. I know we've had our conversations. And, you know, as we talked, I mean, we just, I mean, and the reason I asked it was Friday, because I know Tom's real adamant about your report back at 4 o'clock, or by noon, this Friday. And as we sat